Most defense contractors assume their CMMC level is determined by their contract size or their role as a prime or subcontractor. It is not. Your CMMC level is determined by one thing: the type of federal information you handle. Get that wrong, and you could spend years preparing for the wrong certification, or lose contract eligibility because you underestimated what you actually need. This is the CMMC Advisor. This video is for business owners and executives at defense contractors, the people who need to make the call on which level applies to their company and what it will cost to get there. Here is the core question. Between CMMC Level 1 and Level 2, which one does your company actually need to pursue? And what is the difference in what each one demands of you? CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, is the Department of Defense's framework for requiring cybersecurity standards across its supply chain. It applies to defense contractors and subcontractors who handle certain categories of federal information. There are currently 3 levels defined in the CMMC program, but for the vast majority of defense contractors, the decision comes down to Level 1 or Level 2. Here is why getting this determination right matters. If your contracts require Level 2 and you are only prepared for Level 1, you are not eligible to bid or perform on those contracts. Full stop. If you over-prepare, if you pursue Level 2 certification when Level 1 is all you need, you have spent significantly more time and money than required. Both outcomes hurt your business. The determination also affects your timeline. Level 1 compliance can often be achieved and maintained internally. Level 2 typically requires a third-party assessment, which means scheduling, preparation, and real lead time before you can demonstrate compliance to a contracting officer. This is not a technical question you can delegate entirely to your IT team. IT starts with understanding what information flows through your business, and that is a business-level decision. Let's break down how the levels actually work and what drives the determination. The CMMC framework is built on 2 categories of federal information that defense contractors commonly handle. The first is FCI, Federal Contract Information. This is information provided by or generated for the government under a contract to develop or deliver a product or service. It does not include information intended for public release. If your company performs work for a federal agency under contract, you almost certainly handle FCI. The second is CUI, Controlled Unclassified Information. This is federal information that requires safeguarding under law, regulation, or government-wide policy. Think technical specifications for defense systems, engineering drawings, export-controlled data, certain personnel or procurement information. CUI is sensitive. It is not classified, but it has real security and legal weight. Here is the rule that determines your level. If your company handles FCI, but not CUI, CMMC Level 1 applies to you. If your company handles CUI, CMMC Level 2, at minimum, applies to you. Level 1 is built around 17 foundational cybersecurity practices drawn from Federal Acquisition Regulation Clause 52.204-21. These are basic cyber hygiene requirements. Things like controlling who has access to systems, using antivirus software, and limiting physical access to systems that handle federal information. Level 1 allows for annual self-assessment. Your company reviews its own practices against the requirements, scores itself, and affirms that score to the government through the Supplier Performance Risk System, known as SPRS. Level 2 is a different scope entirely. It aligns with NIST Special Publication 800-171, a set of 110 security requirements organized across 14 domains, covering areas like access control, incident response, system and communications protection, and more. These requirements are more rigorous, more specific, and more demanding to document and sustain. For most defense contractors subject to Level 2, a third-party assessment by a certified third-party assessment organization, a C3PAO, will be required for contracts involving CUI. This is not a self-attestation, An external team reviews your controls, your documentation, and your evidence. So, the decision tree is straightforward in principle. Identify the information your company handles under your DoD contracts. If any of it is CUI, you are in Level 2 territory. If it is only FCI, Level 1 is your floor. The complication is that many contractors are not certain what they actually handle, and that uncertainty is where mistakes happen. Here are the specific mistakes we see contractors make on this determination, and they are costly. The first mistake is assuming that because they are a subcontractor, they handle less sensitive information. That is not how it works. A sub can receive CUI directly from a prime contractor. If a prime passes you technical drawings, system specs, or other controlled data to perform your scope of work, you are handling CUI. Your position in the supply chain does not reduce your obligations. The second mistake is letting a contract clause determine the answer without reading it carefully. Some contractors see that their contract does not explicitly mention CMMC and assume they are off the hook. Contractual flowdown of DFARS 252.204.7012, the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement Clause that covers CUI protection, has been in place for years. The absence of a CMMC clause today does not mean the obligation is not coming. The third mistake is treating the level determination as purely a technical question. Owners hand it to their IT manager or their MSP, the managed service provider who runs their systems, and accept whatever answer comes back. But the IT team may not have full visibility into what information is flowing through contracts, what a program manager receives by email, or what engineering teams store in shared drives. The determination requires input from operations, contracts, and leadership. The fourth mistake is assuming that because past self-assessments showed a high SPRS score, the company is in good shape. SPRS scores are self-reported. Assessors do not take them at face value. We have seen contractors with strong self-reported scores face significant findings during a third-party assessment because their documentation and evidence did not support their claims. Oh, and the fifth mistake, one of the most common, is treating Level 1 as something to handle quickly and move on from. Level 1 compliance still requires documented practices and annual reaffirmation. It is not a checkbox you complete once. Here is what you should do now as the owner or executive responsible for this decision. Step 1. Conduct a data inventory with your contracts and operations teams. Map what types of federal information your company receives, stores, processes, or transmits under each active DoD contract. Do not delegate this entirely. You need to understand the answer yourself. Step 2. Review the information handling clauses in your active contracts. Specifically look for references to FCI, CUI, DFAR, S25, 2.2, 04-7012, and any CMMC specific clauses. If you are uncertain what you are reading, bring in a CMMC advisor or legal counsel who works in this space. Step 3. Based on that review, establish your CMMC level. If you find any CUI in your environment, plan for Level 2. Do not plan for Level 1 and hope the assessment goes well. Step 4. If you are Level 2, find out whether a third-party assessment is required for your contracts or whether self-attestation applies. This depends on the specific contract. Your contracting officer can confirm what is required. Step 5. Get a gap assessment against the applicable requirements for your level. This is a structured review of where you stand today versus where you need to be. It tells you what to fund, what to fix, and how long it will realistically take. Step 6. Establish a realistic timeline and budget. Level 2, readiness for a contractor that is starting from scratch, typically takes 12 to 24 months and carries real cost in people, tools, and third-party services. Build that into your planning now, not when a contract is on the line. The bottom line is this: your CMMC level is determined by the type of federal information you handle. FCI puts you at Level 1. CUI puts you at level 2. The sooner you make that determination accurately, the sooner you can plan and invest with confidence. If you want the CMMC Level Determination Worksheet, a structured tool that walks you through the FCI and CUI identification process for your company, drop level in the comments, and we will send it your way. The link is also in the description. Either way works. Level in the comments. One important reminder: CMMC requirements evolve. Program rules, assessment procedures, and contract clauses are updated over time. Always verify the specifics against current official guidance from the Department of Defense and the CMMC accreditation body before making compliance decisions. Know your level, plan accordingly. That is where good compliance starts.